We're at Mount Panorama Circuit for the finale of the first season of Ozicar Formula Ford. Exciting new car on iRacing, beloved all around the world, in North America, in the UK, and here in Australia. And it's put on an amazing sim racing championship for us in Ozicar. The champion will be decided at the mountain tonight. At this point, I'm totally expecting to see another graphic about the circuit or championship points.
I apologise. I clicked the wrong button and nothing was happening. Hello, everyone. Sorry,
Kennedy, our illustrious producer.
What a rookie
we'll
error.
Later on, don't worry. But we get into the championship standings. This is after last round, heading into the finale here. Stuart Vaughan leading the way from Ewan Baker, James Chastanoff, John Merritt. Oh, so close amongst those top four in our top 10, completed by Tim Harris, Tony Baker, Dennis Hancock, Robbie Bradbury, Jacob Wallmeyer, and Brody Shepherd. It's not just the Drivers' Championship, though, that hangs in the balance. The Teams' Championship has Locked On Racing leading with the combination of Chastanoff and Braden Martin, the White Knuckle Racing and the Pulse Tuning pair, the other Locked On Racing car with some Kiwis in it. It's got KSR, Locked On Racing, #Livin, CXC Daytona Racing, Aussie Car, and Century Motorsports as the 10 teams up the top there. Jay, what else have you got for us?
Got a little graphic here for what the format is for tonight. So 8 laps for our 2 races tonight, and they will both be around the 20-minute mark. That will be what we'll have to decide the championship. Importantly, though, need to take a 4-tyre pit stop in both races at some point, so we will see the field a little bit split up, but the fact that it's only an 8-lap race doesn't leave a very big window for you to work out when you want to actually make that pit stop.
Yeah, correct. Bigger the lap, the less times you come past pit lane in 20 minutes. So their qualifying is done, and for that first of 2 races, let's take a look at how they grid up. On the pole position is Braden Martin, looking to secure the Team's Championship with James Chastanoff. Ewan Baker, well, he's not leading the points, but he is on the front row. There's James Chastanoff. There is the championship leader, Stuart Vaughan. They make up the second row here at Mount Panorama. Tim Harris and Sean Doyle are 5th and 6th on the grid. And then Dennis Hancock and Jacob Wallmeyer. Brody Shepherd and Nathan Verney are the top 10 after qualifying. Adrian Duke and Tony Baker 11th and 12th on the grid. Leon Williams and Darren Shannon 13th and 14th. Peter Wilkinson and John Snell in 15th and 16th. Kirk Broadhurst and Warren Henry 17th and 18th. And the last car on the grid, Ira Felberg. I noticed that they line up staggered here when they were side-by-side rows at Sandown.
Yeah, I don't understand the way that it works in regards to how cars are gridded up within iRacing. I haven't worked it out. It's been different at every track for the 11 years I've been on here, and I don't think I'll ever work it out. But it seems to be okay because it means that we do get a lot more cars going through turn 1 and out the other side than what we may get if they did line up side by side. I think it might be a bit catastrophic if we did that.
Potentially this Formula Ford can be very, very twitchy on its cold tyres, and it will take them a minute to get them going the first time across the top of the mountain. So when you can make some moves, but you also need to be a little bit cautious, and it's coming down Conrod straight towards the chase, where the Formula Ford style of slipstream racing is really going to come into effect. We're ready to get racing for 1 of 2 in the Ozicar Formula Ford season finale. They rev on the grid. Barney's going to magically make a green flag appear out of nowhere. There he goes. What a magician. And the racing is out of the bag as well.
Stopped at the back of the field. Kirk Broadhurst. Looks like he may have stalled the car and hasn't been able to get away. But everyone else looks like they've actually got pretty much into single file except for Leon Williams and Darren Shannon. Everyone else single file, and nice and controlled through Hell Corner, run up Mountain Straight into Griffins. This is where it gets a little hairy.
Ewan Baker's having a look in towards that turn 2. The inside line's absolutely where you want to be. Braden Martin knows the way the rodeo works, and he drops back in line. Is off camber around the outside. The inside is cambered. The inside line always wins, but up the hill, look at that slipstreaming difference from the race leader backwards to Braden Martin and James Chastano. Second and third looking to combine for the team's championship. Stuart Vaughan, always easy to spot on an overcast day. In 4th place, they're very, very brightly coloured. Full throttle in this part of the track, looking to carry speed towards Skyline where things start to get challenging. Your top 5, top 6 is a little bit of a breakaway at the moment. Jacob Wallmeyer and Dennis Hancock went side by side in 7th place. And that's cost them a little bit of speed. Whoa, Vaughan all out over the grass there, heading towards Skyline, only just able to hold on to his position.
Yeah, he's pushing the limits quite a bit here and struggling to keep it composed, but he's somehow got it back in the line very, very quickly, and now looking like he may have this under control again. This has been a bit of a hairy lap, but we've made it through almost all the way.
Picking up speed, long Conrod straight downhill. Ewan Baker leading, but Braden Martin soon to be all over him. Chastano, Vaughan, etc. will start to close up big time, especially as they come over the crest here. Side by side in the background there as well as a couple drivers looking to make some positions, but Ewan Baker might just hold on to the race lead at this point. Martin right on his tail, overshooting the braking zone, skipping way out. Tim Harris, I think.
Yep, Tim Harris off in the weeds and just gets it back on the track. Look at how many cars have decided to come into the pits. Braden Martin, the only one from the first group that has not come in to make his pit stop.
Tim Harris got passed on pit entry. That would be an interesting one to have a look at. But there's Braden Martin all on his lonesome, sailing that ship. A couple of other drivers from the back half of the field staying out. A lot of the front half looking to pit. Adrian Duke there in the coffee-coloured machine between Darren Shannon and Brodie Shepherd. So now Nathan Verney leads this little group up the hill.
Had 18 cars actually start the race. Warren Henry didn't start. 9 pitted, 9 continued. So half the cars will pit on probably the second to last lap of the race, and half the field is pitted on lap 1.
The hill again, Verney leading the group, and they are a nice little conga line, a nice little train at the spot. Brodie Shepherd looking a little defensive into the cutting there. He's very purple. And here's the rest of the field coming back out. Not a quick tyre change on the Formula Ford. They are a 4 or a 5 lug nut, and they don't get around especially quickly. 30 seconds, give or take. James Chastano's had a good pit stop. So has Stuart Vaughan on the longer side for Ewan Baker and Dennis Hancock. So Baker was leading them into the pit lane, and he's come out behind Vaughan and Chastano.
Yeah, so Casty's been the big winner out of the pit stop phase, hasn't he? He's done a very, very nice job through the pit stop cycle, and he's got about 1.5, 2 second advantage. This is what you're talking about in the race into the pit lane. So that's a 55 of Brodie Shepherd having a huge lockup. And you see the cars there all over the place. In the pits comes Dennis Hancock. It's Tim Harris, who obviously was serving that slowdown penalty for cutting the chase. Here's an opportunity to gain a spot. Here he goes.
Look at that little race on pit lane to the speed limit there as well. So all happening on pit entry, and plenty happening on the track here as well. Brodie Shepherd looks like he might have gotten past Tony Baker. Surprisingly, the second time around. A couple of drivers coming for the pit lane here. Baker, and is being followed in by Adrian Duke there. They have a little chicane onto the pit entry, and around in the final corner.
Probably the easiest corner on the track here to lose, just with the way that the track compresses up. Yeah, so unfortunate for Leon Williams, but he's got the car going, hasn't hit the wall, hasn't got any damage, so he'll continue on and finish the race unscathed. So
here's Ewan Baker following a following Stuart Vaughan even, the championship battle wherein Baker really needs to outscore and significantly outscore Vaughan in this final race, in this final round, I should say. It was looking possible, certainly, with Baker qualified second, Vaughan qualified fourth, but the pit stops really, really helped Stuart Vaughan. He had a great stop, really quick stop, jumped his rival, and now you see them out on circuit here.
Tim Harris has come back into the pits for a second stop as well, so I think he may have got a speeding in pit lane penalty in his little race that we were watching before. Kirk Broadhurst did get a speeding in pit lane penalty. He says this pass Ewan Baker will make all season over Stuart Vaughan. Vaughan did not defend that at all. Knows that these two need to work together to close down that 1.5 second gap to Chastanov.
Yep, a little bit of a leapfrog there on that occasion, and maybe Vaughan's not as confident across the top of the mountain. We saw on the opening lap, I suspect, big whack of understeer through McPhillamy Park and dug out a route across the grass, where things are kicking off further back with Baker, Dennis Hancock, Jacob Wallmeyer, and Adrian Duke.
Front Shepherd passing Verney under brakes as well, so move for position. Second now for Brodie Shepherd, but they still obviously need to make their pit stop.
They do, that's your top 7 at the moment, but you'd expect them to go long now rather than go wishy-washy in the middle, either pit early or pit late. Those are sort of your two extremes where you see a benefit one way or the other, but you're sort of a bit of neither by trying to stop in the middle. So, still, Baker ahead of Vaughan here. They've caught Chastanov pretty significantly across the top of the mountain, and if they slingshot again here, they'll catch him yet further. But Vaughan, does he look like he wants to go for that? He doesn't, which is interesting to me. Wallmeyer wants to pass Hancock, and Tony Baker doesn't know who to give a slipstream to here as they're side by side through the fastest corner in Australian motorsport.
Righto, Scafey. Oh no!
Out sideways for Adrian Duke. And they've made contact in front as well. So 3 cars sideways, spun out in the gravel at the chase. It bites hard.
Wrong about that. It's bitten very hard, these guys. Now, interesting, and we come... Oh, well, that's fairly heavy contact there too, and I think then Leon Williams come into the pits, but Adrian Duke has continued on, but Dennis Hancock back in the pits to get damage. Oh, have a look at that front right-hand wheel.
Yeah.
It's supposed to go that way.
A lot of toe out, I think.
It's wrong, whatever it is. Now, while we were watching that replay up on the screen there, that's very important. Ewan Baker, fastest lap of the race. That means that he's lapping faster than our race leader, albeit by a 1/10. So that gap is still very, very static.
Not going great for Peter Wilkinson. He's lost his nose, so that's even more obvious than the toe camber steering situation. Verney and Shepherd are second and third at the moment. Shepherd's been looking pretty racy so far in this one, and he's looking for second place. And he's looking like he'll get it. Car really with some angle on the way into the chase, but then a good drive out. Oh no, he's also got the toe as a problem for Peter Wilkinson.
A bit of plastic surgery on that car after this. Suppose he's lost. That bit hard. Sorry, Wilco. I didn't realise it was that bad when I went to a replay of it.
Yep, the dipper. He was a little offline on the way in potentially, and then couldn't get back onto the line that he wanted. And the concrete will not move before the Formula Ford does. Here you go. Your top 3 pit stoppers, potentially looking to be the top 3 in the race as well. Vaughan gets past Baker. A defensive line from James Chastanoff. If he holds these guys up, he's actually doing a little bit of a favour to his teammate in Braden Martin on the long-running strategy. So, sure, they're battling first, second and third, potentially here, looking to make an undercut. But they are helping his teammate who's made the overcut. Vaughan and Baker might know it. 3 Formula Fords in about 2.5 Formula Ford lengths at the moment.
Wilco's tried to do a shortcut and it didn't quite work because he can't turn the car. So this has made it a bit more funny. It says a wall there. I can't go any further.
Baker behind Vaughan, behind Chastanoff. Does he move across to the right-hand side of the circuit to defend turn number 2? He doesn't, or he can't do it in time, and Vaughan will get to the preferred position in that corner to make his way through. It now makes it, I think, more imperative for Baker to try to make a move here as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is important for these guys to maybe start to understand as well where you can make that run to get into the lead, where you want to be on the last lap too. So this could be a strategy from Vaughan to get ahead now, knowing that he's going to get passed by both of them on lap 6. He'll get one spot back on lap 7 and maybe get the final spot on lap 8. That could be why he's looking to get ahead now, considering he was very content to not be at the lead of the group at all previously.
No downforce in a Formula Ford for when you go over the rise at Skyline, and then gets a little extra floaty at the dipper as well. Tough to be quick and committed in this part of the section and the track in these cars. Certainly looks like Vaughan's got it worked out at the moment. Pulls a couple car lengths over Chastanoff and Baker. We're going to close it all back down Conrod Straight.
no.
Dramas in the final corner for Nathan Verney. Darren Shannon gets past him.
Yeah, Verney has lost 2 spots in the end from whatever has happened here at Murray's Corner. And I'll tell you what it is. Bit of a self-spinning situation. Too deep, I think.
You know, else has gone too deep is his teammate James Chastanoff into the chase. Went all 4 off the grass. Stuart Vaughan goes by. Let's take a look at this lap time from Vaughan. Last 2:19.8. This is 2:20.4. Still losing a couple tenths of a second every lap to Braden Martin. Has been battling, not leapfrogging. It hasn't really helped him much at all.
Yeah, so the gap at the moment, 51-ish seconds for the whole group, 51 and a half. So is that enough? I think Braden Martin might still have a couple of second advantage by the time he gets out of the pits, but then he has to work hard to make the tyres work. Get them up to temperature very, very quickly.
There's a roadblock here for Chastanoff, Vaughan and Baker as we look at the replay here. Just in too deep. That's a little bit of the grass there. Chastanoff back ahead. Vaughan, well, Baker almost tried to follow Chastanoff through and Vaughan cut that one across. Stay in the middle. This is damage, and big damage for Brodie Shepherd, who was potentially one of the fastest cars out there, tracking to close towards Braden Martin, looking for a top 5, and he has hit the wall somewhere coming down the hill.
Hit it at Forest Elbow.
Not only destroyed the suspension, I think he's popped that tyre too. They say Avon on the side of them. Do Australian Formula Fords race on the same or different? And that is just wide, just understeer. Didn't get the rotation going before the track starts to drop away. Braden Martin pits from the lead. Is it a lap early?
No, he's right, because he's got to pit before the end of 2 to go.
Because he's starting the,
You're right. If he had pitted on the next lap, it would be the last lap of the race, so that would breach the rule. Brodie Shepherd's done a good job to bring that back to the pits with how... right on cue.
Kennedy. J. Why would you open your mouth?
Yep. I apologise. Ira's had an issue at the top of the mountain as well. He's going to have to go and see the same plastic surgeon as Wilco did.
Baker getting a bit more aggressive here. Vaughan shoots past and then a little bit off the circuit there. Ahead of James Chastanoff. Ewan Baker just in behind. This is the lap where we see where and how it all shakes out, because Martin's 5 seconds away from rolling in pit lane. This group are coming through the final corner right now. It's a 30-second stop for Martin. He'll look good, but it's not. 32, 33 seconds for Braden Martin, only just getting rolling now. That makes it far more difficult. He could be 2 seconds ahead of this group instead. By the time they get to Griffin's Bend, they're going to be on him, and Martin's the driver now with the cold tyres on the cold track.
It's just turned to a very, very interesting battle all the way to the end, doesn't it? It's going to be very, very exciting finish to this race. I don't think this will be the last time we see this sort of incident happen either. Ira Felberg just in a little bit too hot. Just clips the inside wall at the turn in at the skyline, and it's potentially day done. Race done, I should say. He'll be back out there for the next one.
Braden Martin's got 1.9 seconds now over those cars behind. They got a little more gloves off coming up Mountain Straight this time. Chastanoff back to second. Ewan Baker, third place. Did start getting a little more punchy here against Vaughan. So he got ahead of Vaughan. There is the race leader. It's all what you see is what you get now with Martin from Chastanoff, from Baker, from Vaughan. Sean Doyle a little bit back off of them in fifth place with all the pit stops shook out. Doyle has been a real winner out of some of the other issues we've seen for Brody Shepherd and others like that.
His lap pace has actually been very good as well, so he can get a very, very good start, make sure that he doesn't get caught up in the cluster of cars launching away. He could find himself riding for contention in race number 2 as well, so it'll be one to watch.
Is unleashing the dragon, but he's only 1.5 seconds ahead of the rest of them. Really lost some time in the corners over the top of the hill. Now they're slingshotting. Baker goes to second. Vaughan's going to follow through to try to swallow up James Chastanoff. Likewise, they're side by side in the braking zone into the chase. Baker comes back. Almost wheel-to-wheel contact. We've seen it happen before between Wallmeyer and others in this part of the track. Baker stays ahead. Chastanoff nearly got in. Too hot there. Vaughan goes back to third. And Braden Martin's lead back out to 1.8 seconds. They're starting the final lap of race number 1. Pays points, sets the grid for race number 2. And Baker needs to finish ahead of Vaughan and hopefully with some cars in between to keep a championship hope alive into the final race.
Going to be a grandstand finish, you feel. It's going to be a very spectacular end of the race. One more lap, 6 kilometres to go. And these cars can go very aggressively wheel to wheel. The more wheel-to-wheel this second, third, fourth group goes, the higher chance Braden Martin has of staying ahead. And just as I suspected earlier, Stuart Vaughan's using the last lap to slingshot by and now take that lead of that group back.
1.6 seconds to Martin ahead. Looking at the inside of the cutting rarely works, but James Chastanoff just in position here. Martin was unleashing the dragon once again up Mountain Straight. And you're going to see it on Conrod again, but 1.5 seconds. If Vaughan can have a flyer from here around to the elbow, he can cut 2, 3, 4 tenths out of Braden Martin. He can be close enough to get a slipstream and really start to worry him. Here they come first, second, third, fourth. Vaughan so sideways as it comes over the crest, but that's how you're driving these Formula Fords when you're driving them quickly, a little bit like a go-kart.
100%. You're going to drive it very aggressive like a go-kart.
He had a big moment at the dipper.
Yep.
Vaughan had a moment at the dipper, grazed the wall almost. Now Baker's on him, looking to try to dive down the inside. A locked brake now at the elbow. This lets Braden Martin off the hook. Vaughan could have been half a second closer, but he's had a few little issues, gotten a little scruffy. Martin leads them one side, leads them the other. I think he's home clean so long as he can make 2 good braking zones out of the chase. And out of the final corner, 3 wide. They shoot around Vaughan, both of them with the slipstream. 3 wide, won't stay though, into the chase. They get a millimetre from touching. Vaughan goes back 3 wide on the way inside here. Baker locks up. All of this is great for Braden Martin to see, but Vaughan's gone from 4th to 2nd. Now he's hogging the inside. You can't pass with the pit lane entry, surely. Vaughan's middle of the road, holding them off, but the checkered flag is going to go to Braden Martin as Baker and Chastanoff crash in the final corner.
Here comes Sean Doyle. He might steal a spot here. Oh, just misses out on stealing the spot from Chastanoff with his damage. Wow, we're going to have to go back and have another look at that. Tony Baker's going to come across in 6th position in the end there, and Vernie, Shannon, Wallmeyer and Duke will round out the top 10. Wowee, that was a fun race, and we get to do it all again in 5 minutes' time.
He went 3 wide, the better part of Conrod. They went 3 wide into the final corner. It was absolutely gloves off on that final lap. and it meant Braden Martin came away with the win. Here is your last cars circulating. Dennis Hancock, Brody Shepherd with that damage. Fourth pick, Dennis Hancock with 2 pit stops. Ira Feldberg also with 2. We saw the damage that he sustained.
Great news for Wilco that he's actually going to be able to finish the race. Got back out there, and he won't be the last car classified in the race either. That looked like, oh, Chastity's just hit that curb on the inside, and it just flung him a little bit wide.
Chastity was looking somewhere that there was nothing to look for, trying to use the pit entry to force his way down the inside of a driver who had absolutely closed that door. And then he skips across the apex curb, and I want to say takes out Ewan Baker, but realistically, they still crossed the line in the order that they were before the final corner. Just Sean Doyle not being close enough to steal away from them in the end. And there, Peter Wilkinson across the line for 17th place. Kirk Broadhurst a retirement. Warren Henry not taking the start. Let's recap that once again, though. Braden Martin, the race winner. Stuart Vaughan, Ewan Baker, James Chastanoff, and Sean Doyle, top 5. Baker, Verney, Darren Shannon, Jacob Wallmeyer, and Adrian Duke. From Tim Harris, Leon Williams, Dennis Hancock, Brody Shepherd, John Snell, Ira Feldberg, Peter Wilkinson. And as we said, that's the 18th and 19th. They've got one more race at the mountain, one more race for the season 1 of Ozicar Formula Ford. We will be back shortly here on Simspeed TV to bring you all the coverage and all the wrap up of that. Before we go, I want to thank the people who make our broadcast possible, Jay.
I'm getting there for you. I'm having a shocker today. There we go.
And that is Sim Racing League's Locked On Lads and the Prestige Trophy badge and engraving with no social hate. One last round of Mount Panorama Circuit for Ozicar Formula Ford. Stick with us, that's coming up in just a couple minutes' time.
Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
Well, here we go, gearing up for the final race of Ozicar Formula Ford Season 1 with a champion to be crowned. Will it be Stuart Vaughan? Will it be Ewan Baker? Will it be James Chastanoff? Does the mountain have a final surprise left for us? Anything can happen around this place, and if you ask Chaz Mostert, it sometimes does. So let's look forward then to what's coming up later for Ozicar Formula Ford Season 2. Starts in just a couple of weeks' time. This is the schedule. It's WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, Barber Motorsports Park, Willow Springs Raceway, Watkins Glen International, USA Speedway on the oval for Ozicar Formula Ford. A little bit of a return to some schedules and seasons of old. And Lime Rock Park to finish it out. Go to your Aussiecar.net or find them on the Facebook or whatever. Join us for Season 2 of Ozicar Formula Ford, kicking off in just a couple of weeks' time.
Pretty cool little schedule this one. I really like it. Willow Springs is going to be very cool in these cars, and if you have no idea what Willow Springs is, if you just rewind a little bit, the advert we just played from iRacing is for that track, which comes out on, I'm going to say on Tuesday. There's no point saying on Tuesday because that's tomorrow. Can't believe we're going to get it after it was announced 11 years ago. It's finally coming.
You love it. iRacing's basically a government at this point. Let's have a look at the starting grid for race number 2, which is as they finished race number 1, and it means Braden Martin and Stuart Vaughan are on the front row of the grid. Braden Martin, once again. And then Ewan Baker and James Chastanoff are the second row. Sean Doyle elevates himself a little bit up into 5th, ahead of Tony Baker, then Nathan Verney and Darren Shannon. This is, of course, all as they finished race number 1. Jacob Woolmeyer and Adrian Duke as the top 10.
Here we go.
Leon Williams.
Oh, I'll let you finish it.
Dennis Hancock, Brody Shepherd. Brody Shepherd's got some work to do in this one for sure. Showed a lot more pace than he ended up finishing with. Click through it because they're ready to get racing. John Snell, Ira Felberg, Peter Wilkinson, Kirk Broadhurst, and Warren Henry. 19 Formula Fords. They're ready to go. We've got 18 of them for this finale, and a great launch from Braden Martin on what's probably the less rubbered up, less gripped inside. He gets away tidily in towards turn number 1, and we've seen on cold tyres on the opening lap, you do have to be just a little bit careful, and Sean Doyle spins it around out of turn 1 onto the grass. No damage done, but it'll drop all the way to the back of the field.
We've seen how hard it is to get yourself back up forward after you have an issue at the start, so he's going to have to work hard to gain some spots here, but the positive, didn't hit the wall, so no damage. You should be able to get the pit stop done very, very quickly. Vaughan to the lead. Baker gets through on Braden Martin as well. He hasn't had a great start since getting away from the line.
Yeah, Vaughan opened up that door. The inside line of turn number 2 is where you've got to be. Baker got in there as well. He goes forward. Braden Martin all of a sudden back in the 3rd place. His teammate there, but whoa, 1st and 2nd gets so wide out of the cutting. Vaughan almost hit the wall. He has had a real tough time of these opening laps, and he's under an immense amount of pressure. We'll see what happens when he gets to McPhillam's car. Baker is up into 5th after what happened to Sean Doyle, so he's not far off the back of the leaders here as well on this opening lap, and Verney in 6th. At McPhillamy, more caution exercise from Stuart Vaughan in race number 2. There's still a lot of tough corners to negotiate while you're still bringing the tyre temperature in. The sun's come out just a little bit, and SpaghettiOs for Darren Shannon.
Yeah, he has hit the wall, so that is going to be very, very difficult for him to make his way back. Also seeing Brody Shepherd's picked up a mechanical black flag, something that's happened on this first lap too. So maybe he's been involved in that incident we just saw there. Darren Shannon will get some replays soon.
Here's Stuart Vaughan leading the way. Left-hand side of circuit, everyone just follows him down the mountain to the highest speed part of the track. And what an overspeed Ewan Baker has got. It's basically 7-8 kilometers an hour as he goes through the chase into the lead of the race, breaks on the racing line. Baker goes ahead, takes the race lead at the moment. Pit entry could get super busy right now, but Martin actually won race 1 by not taking the lap 1 pit stop. And I think they've all written that down in their little notebooks.
Tim Harris, the first car to take the stop from P number 9. And from there, we've got Brody Shepherd obviously in because he's got that mechanical black flag. Also seeing Ira Felberg in and Sean Doyle coming in as well. Doyle with nothing to lose. He might as well try and get a bit of positions back on strategy. Baker!
And it forces Vaughan off the road. They both check up. Braden Martin's like, well, where can I go? And he has to lift out. He can't get to the inside line here. James Chastanoff comes in. They're 4 cars covered by nothing. Baker and Vaughan have both been off the road, and finally it opens up for Braden Martin to try to squeeze his way back to the race lead. Baker brakes so hard around the outside, but there's no grip up there. High, wide, no momentum. They're 3 wide between Griffins and the cutting, and it squeezes out Stuart Vaughan, who has to think championship, and they're wedged in the wall. Jacob Woolmeyer.
Yeah, okay.
Made by nature.
Nathan Verney also out as well. So that checkup that we saw when we were on board with Tony Baker, you saw how aggressively he had to get on the brakes to make sure he didn't run the guys over in front, has caused a bigger accident just behind him, unfortunately. Well, we'll see if we can pick up what happened with Nathan Verney. Then has resulted. Oh, okay. This may be something more. This when we get the replay in just a sec.
Okay, that just doesn't turn, and then it stops in a difficult place. Like, your steering is obviously already gone, and you don't want to keep rolling when you've got no steering either. So a shame and a pretty nasty little accident at turn number 2. It could have been way bigger for Stuart Vaughan as well, as he got sandwiched between, I think it was Chastanoff and Baker. Braden Martin leads the way, but Ewan Baker's now all over him, looking to the inside of the chase. You see it up the road here. Chastanoff wants to buy in as well. Stuart Vaughan's been very good in this situation before, but he still has to sit in fourth as Baker goes round the outside, takes the race lead from Martin and Chastanoff.
Everyone will stay out in this group, no doubt about it, but Tony Baker's been a big winner in this race so far. Duke and Williams just behind in 6th and 7th. They've got a bit of room to close that gap back down. Dennis Hancock comes in. Wilkinson stays out. Snell stays out. And Kirk Broadhurst all stay out as well. Leader of the cars that are pitted, Brody Shepherd. He had a very, very good pit stop.
Baker had a weird final corner there, and he got passed by Braden Martin into turn 1. Up towards Griffin's Bend. Baker comes back, and everyone just wants to follow who's on the inside line. So here's Chastanoff now backing out to try to let his teammate Martin take the corner, and it leaves Vaughan up high, but he manages to find a reasonable amount of grip there, and he'll probably make this pass on the way into the cutting. As they've been fussing and fighting, Tony Baker's bought his way into this as well, and it goes to show that those who pitted on lap number 1, are not going to be in a great position as the leaders continue to fight each other. There around went Brody Shepherd, who could have been in position to make a great result out of the way that these top 4, top 5 are battling.
100% could have been a big positive result, but gone in way too hot, sort of round, and then Sean Doyle also goes in a bit hot and almost makes contact.
That's target fixation, maybe, like that. Oi. And for Kirk Broadhurst, it's also exploring all that Bathurst has to offer. Probably stopping in at the soccer club up the top of the mountain there or something.
They do good dim sims up there, do they not?
I've heard that on a race weekend, like a 12-hour or a 6-hour, when it's not crazy as 1,000. Yeah, good food from them. Baker tried to weave around a little bit. Martin and Vaughan. Vaughan's going to try to leapfrog 2 for 1 here. He's on the racing line, but Baker's not going to give him anything easily. Gets him around the outside, and spinning out Braden Martin from 3rd onto the grass. He's going to drop way back, drop out of this pack. He's even just going to nose it straight into the tyres for good measure. Is he bogged? He is. He's high-sided the car. He's broken the suspension on the right-hand side and maybe the drive shaft there as well, and he is so lucky if he's going to be able to get this thing out. It's not
I think he's stuck
from here, mate.
I don't think he's getting that car out. You look at that, that rear, it's completely destroyed.
This is slower than towing at this point, Braden. Oh, it'll look good. They're side by side for the race lead, though. How about that? Vaughan getting down the inside of Baker at the moment, and this is what happened. He's just pinched on the tight line, and he loops the tail around.
A little flick spin he tried to do to get it recovered is what's actually damaged the car.
So here's Vaughan and Baker at the lead. Chastanoff under a bit of pressure from Baker in 3rd and 4th. They are still all 59 seconds clear of the best car to have pitted, which is Tim Harris, who had a long stop. So no one who's stopped early has either had a good stop or kept it on the road to punish the leading 4 or 5 cars for their scruffiness. I was trying to find a smarter sounding word. Nothing came to mind in the 2 seconds that I needed it.
Just need Hins in this group and we'd have 3 Bakers.
Well, we had the Shepherd and the Sheepy together when Leon Williams was battling
Watch this rear suspension. It's very strange.
I think he finds a little landmine out there as well.
Right there.
When he's trying to... Yeah, it went from straight cut chips to crinkle cut chips very quickly.
Crinkle cuts are usually pretty good, but not necessarily on your car.
Yeah, again, it's all about, you know, your surface area for flavoring and seasoning. That's you know,
Is that what it is?
That's scientifically what makes a crinkle cut better, and you can actually have a little bit more oil on your chippy before it goes soggy on a crinkle cut, maintains that integrity. Stuart Vaughan's pitting, and it's not when I would have expected.
Surprising to see him pit alone. I just had to double check and make sure that he didn't have a black flag or something, but that was a very good pit entry though. He was very committed. Baker's now pulled a bit of a gap too as Chastanoff and Tony Baker start to battle behind. So yeah, I'm as surprised about Stuart Vaughan pitting as you are.
I think he saw himself battling with Baker and decided, no, if one of us ends up in the wall, that's a situation where Baker wins, not a situation where I win. I've just got to defend my championship lead by securing a top 5, and I will get that by hitting now and getting away from that for a little bit.
Snell and Broadhurst have both come in to make their compulsory pit stop. Adrian Duke and Leon Williams are still at that same gap that they had before.
Yeah, and these guys are within 10 seconds of the lead as well. So I say that rates pretty favourably for where they'll rejoin compared to Tim Harrison and Dennis Hancock, etc. in a battle for a top 5 here still.
Vaughan's come out about 10 seconds ahead. Guess what the gap is between Stuart Vaughan and Ewart Baker? Exactly the same gap as what Braden Martin had before his pit stop. 51.5 seconds.
Again, it's going to come down to this sort of luck of the pit stop speed where it tends to be between 30 and 33 seconds. Vaughan's had 33 seconds. If Baker, has a good pit crew, and they get a clean stop, that's where the difference is going to be made here. So Baker's either got to pit this one or the next.
Yeah, the end of lap 6. Yeah, they can go one more. I would think that someone will, and right on cue Tony Baker does. I was trying to get that out before one of them did come in. And I think that Leon Williams will do exactly the same as Adrian Duke. I think Wilkinson will come in here. I think Darren Shannon will come in as well. Oh, there's one of them wrong. Ewan Baker, fastest lap of the race. That's important for him. He's got the gap to 52.5 seconds now.
Yeah, very important for his overcut there. But the outlap for Vaughan is always a little slower.
So the next lap's very important.
Baker just needs a good pit entry and a good pit stop.
But he also had the slowest pit stop out of the 4 in that lead group last time. So that could be the hindrance for him.
Here is Vaughan still going. Oh, he's wide out of the final corner. Cost himself some time there. Car understeered in front of the museum. And he went through the grass. Ended up the wrong side of the curb, which is a nasty place to be. The car looks very, very snappy right there. So it's not great initially on these new tyres for Stuart Vaughan, who's behind Tony Baker. Baker had a good pit stop and has come from, a second or two behind Vaughan when they're on track to get a laugh to be ahead of him. Baker's ahead of Vaughan. Tony Baker.
Yeah, Tony Baker. Very, very good pit stop. Only 30 seconds. So he's had a 3-second shorter pit stop than Stuart Vaughan. So that's worked out really well for him. Hitting your marks in this car are a lot more important than in many, many others. So, I think we might see some drivers work on that a little bit more for next season. We might see a few more drivers really concentrate on hitting their pit stop marker. This is a battle that's just sort of evolved over the last little bit. Brodie Shepherd has just got past Ira Felberg, and he has also been catching up to Sean Doyle.
Yeah, just thinking back, if you pull up in your pit stall, 20 centimeters too far forward or 20 centimeters too far back, you still get service, but it costs you a couple seconds. Same for if you're a little bit left, a little bit right, you still end up in the zone where the crew can work on the car, but you're not just, dead on your marks, let them get to work quickly. Ewan Baker pits from the race lead as he has to do, and he will either be still in the race lead or hacking third or fourth, depending on how the pit stops go. Adrian Duke hasn't pitted when we think he should.
Yeah, he's going to go one lap too long because he'll end up coming in on the last lap. He'll cross the line while he's on the last lap of the race. Tony Baker has also got through. Stuart Vaughan has got through on Tony Baker, but now this is important. When will Ewan Baker drop? How's this pit stop going to play out?
Wish I'd have seen his pit entry as well, because despite the stop being slow, the pit entry and attack on the line was very, very good for Stuart Vaughan. And there is Baker right at the pit exit. And it's a bit long, it's a bit slow for Ewan Baker, but he'll still have the lead. Could be a little further ahead if the stop would be just a tiny bit quicker, but that's the gap he's got. As Tony Baker goes out wide of turn.
Jastonov has dropped back as well, behind about 6 seconds behind Tony Baker. Remember, he was battling with Baker of the Tony variety, so he's lost out big time. Ewan Baker may have enough here. 3.2 seconds. That's the biggest lead we've seen between any of these drivers in this group. So this is going to be very interesting as Tim Harris on warmer tyres goes past James Chastanoff on his fresh old tyres in the effective fourth position. Tony Baker's in the wall.
At Skyline, he's gone wide at McPhillamy. Oh no, this is after the cutting. He's gone wide at the cutting. It's earlier around the lap. So yeah, first flying lap on those tyres. He did hit one earlier, but it hasn't worked out well for him, and he's ended up. No, he loses the rear, and then it snaps back, and that's a big hit, and it has given him the old meatball flag as well. So too much crinkle cut on his suspension at the moment, which is really going to hurt what could have been a podium result for him. He's done so well so far to this point in the second
Can he
race.
hold on and keep it out there? Because if he can continue driving, it'd be better than him coming into the pits and getting a mechanical black flag served.
Adrian Duke takes pit entry, but this could be a problem for him. We still expect that Ewan Baker, Stuart Vaughan will go through into the lead of the race, and Chastanoff and Tim Harris probably catching Tony Baker at the moment with the damage that Baker's got. It was a very square on kind of hit, and here's Brodie Shepherd slipstream past Sean Doyle, but very early down Conrod Straight, so Doyle will have a bite back.
Yep, and he's already taken the position back away, so Brodie Shepherd just a little too early to take the spot, loses ground. Sean Doyle now will lose the spot back again under brakes. White flag in the air at the front. Tony Baker's decided no, the car is too heavily damaged, he will pit. I feel like he may have made the wrong call there. I think he could have got around and maybe limped it home and got a 6th or a 7th. Instead, he's going to drop way outside the top 10.
So you don't get time added post-race for crossing the line with a meatball? It's different to a black flag in that way?
Exactly. So you've got 4 laps to serve the meatball flag, and if you don't serve it, if the checker flag comes out, you're fine. You've finished the race. So you only get disqualified if you don't actually serve the mechanical black flag. So maybe he wasn't aware of that and thought, well, I better just come into the pits because I've got the penalty or the flag there. When he looks back at this later on, he might go, oh, hang on, I could have stayed out. Kirk Broadhurst has just had an error as well. He's just had his second mishap of the night. Exit of turn 1, the grass.
Not quite as graceful as Ewan Baker was able to save something similar earlier on. And the gap at the moment, 2.5 seconds. We're on the final lap. Vaughan will have the better tyre temperature at the moment, but it is a big, big, big ask to claw back that much time. James Chastanoff and Tim Harris maybe going to battle this one out for a podium right at the end. Adrian Duke is 5th on track, being caught by Dennis Hancock. And Leon Williams going to come under some pressure from Brodie Shepherd and Sean Doyle on the final lap here as well. A lot to still happen. Ewan Baker, he leads. He'll look to take the race win, but as they stand at the moment, Jay, you'll stop me if I'm wrong, Stuart Vaughan would be the inaugural Aussie Car Formula Ford champion.
I believe you're 100% correct. Stuart Vaughan just has to finish this race and you'll take the championship, but Ewan Baker's done everything he could to try and steal that championship away. And what a way to finish the season with a win.
Smart little pit strategy from Ewan Baker, and he takes the win for the final race of the season at Mount Panorama. Stuart Vaughan takes the championship, and for the podium, it looks like James Chasty is going to be ahead of Tim Harris, who might have even been serving a slowdown there. As for what happens behind them, who knows? Brodie Shepherd is definitely ahead of Sheepy. Here comes Doyle around the outside of the final corner to try to take the spot away from him as well, and Leon Williams goes from 7th to 9th in the final sector of the lap.
Vincent, Shannon and Tony Baker coming as well. Tony Baker's had another issue on this last lap as well, so he's just lost a spot to John Snell, who's had a decent recovery as well. Remember, he was facing the wrong way very early in race 1 and has now brought it home back up in P13 in race 2, so it's not a bad result. But congratulations, Stuart Vaughan, the inaugural champion.
Yeah, indeed. A picture of consistency all season long. And today, just taking away 2 second places, but there were definitely a couple of times, especially in this final lap, we saw the cogs turning in his head thinking, no, championship please, just a top 5 finish, especially this pit strategy we saw in this final race, wherein he decided, I don't need to end up in the wall, I just need to end up on the podium. That's what he did.
We see them do the jump.
I'd hope so. I reckon we've got time to go through the results quick before they get there. Have a looky as the drivers make their way around on the cool down lap to make a season finale send-off Bathurst jump. Ewan Baker with the race win from Stuart Vaughan, James Chastanoff, Tim Harris, Adrian Duke. Put a big dirty question mark on that one because we don't think the compulsory pit stop was served correctly. And then Dennis Hancock, Brodie Shepherd, Sean Doyle, Leon Williams, and Ira Felberg is our top 10. Peter Wilkinson, Darren Shannon, John Snell, Tony Baker, and Jacob Wallmeyer last cars on the lead lap. 1 lap down, Kirk Broadhurst. 3 laps down, Braden Martin. 7 laps down, Nathan Verney. 9 laps down, because he didn't start in an 8-lap race, Warren Henry. They're all forming up here. Are we going to... Have they got the fuel?
I think they're going to do a group jump. It's good. Like to see.
Right.
Probably our favourite thing of races at Bathurst, isn't it? The jump.
It's an iRacing tradition at this point. You see it happen at the end of, Bathurst 12-hour. You see it happen all the time. Whole field lining up, ready to make a jump, a launch over the jump in the chase to try to clear the tyre wall. In a GT3, you can carry enough speed, you can keep the car straight through the gravel to make it work. In a Formula Ford, can you get the velocity, the launch angle, the carry for the arc to clear the tyre bundle? If it works, it'll look great. If it doesn't, probably also look great. Let's find out. The Formula Ford field ripped down towards the Bathurst jump, looking to straight line the gravel, get some air, and clear the tyre barriers. Ewan Baker, he clears it. Stuart Vaughan clears it. They're all looking like they're going to clear the jump in the Formula Ford. That's for what happens on the other side of the jump. Who cares? You want the slow-mo, Jay?
Yeah, I'm going to work on it now.
We'll be able to get our race winners and our champion to stop by and have a chat with us. Actually, Braden Martin was with us and he left. So Let's go then to the race winner first, if I may. Ewan Baker joins us, fought all season long, fought for the win in the final race here. How do you evaluate your season?
It's honestly been quite tough. It's until this round, I haven't really felt like I've been on top of this car. It's kind of felt like it's been driving me a lot of the rounds, and I'm just holding on for dear life. Yeah, I felt relatively comfortable at Winton. I think that was my next best round I had. But other than that, I'd be doing practice laps. I'd put in a lap time that I think's pretty quick, and then Stuart or John would come along, or even James at the end, and then just be those few tenths quicker, half a second at some places. So it was a bit of a challenge, but I think finally I've getting my head around it after Sandown last round. I sat down, actually had a proper look at what was happening, and I think I figured out a couple of things to sort of bridge that gap to the other guys. And well, winning the final race kind of potentially proves that's bore some fruit.
Pretty narrow little strategy options today at obviously the size of the circuit that Mount Panorama is. Sort of saw the leaders go one way race one and go the other way race two. What did you make of that?
I was trying to be clever in race one. I waited till the last minute to sort of dart across into the pits. I was hoping to get myself away from that sort of quite aggressive battle pack and get myself some clean air, because I knew I could lap pretty consistently in the 19s if I was free and not having to lift, through the squiggly bits of the track. But yeah, sadly, everyone saw me do it and followed me in, which made things a bit more difficult. So yeah, race two, I decided, right, just accept the fact that we're going to be battling away here and just try and keep to the front as best I can. Hope maybe for a bit of side-by-side to sort of bridge the second and a half needed to break the draft train and see how it goes. And yeah, it seemed to work out in the end.
Race winner for the final race of the season at Mount Panorama. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, we've got a couple of options here, Jay. How about you talk to the team's champions?
I can do that. Team's champions. Can you drag them in for me, though?
Yeah, I reckon I've got it.
Oh, thank you. So congratulations, James Chastanoff, and also Braden Martin. Congratulations, boys. Not quite the way you wanted to end the season, but they'll pick up yet another team's championship.
Yeah, almost invincible at this point, I think. I think we were saying this one was probably the one we're probably going to come to the most trouble with the possibilities of missing a couple of rounds each, but yeah, in the end, still managed to hold on to it somehow.
Now, Braden, what happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I just lost the rear for the first time going into the chase, and there's like a little bump behind the wall that apparently just destroys your right rear suspension. So instead of just driving back onto the track like I was assuming I would, I couldn't move. So yeah, just, I don't know, bit of bad luck, but
Why did
all right.
you spin in the first place? That's more the important. If you hadn't spun in the first place, you wouldn't have ended up in that situation.
That is a good point. I thought I was lucky to not clean up Ewan about the 13 times he was off the track at the first part of the race, so maybe all my luck was used up by then.
I guess if you want to take the positive away, you almost took Chasty out as well as he was coming behind you. He almost cleaned you up. We were actually on board during that onboard Chasty's nose as you went around, so we saw how close that was.
I think it's pretty obvious the only people that can beat Chasty and I in the team's championship are ourselves, maybe.
Yep.
I shouldn't say all this stuff because there's everyone will team up now just to beat us, but yeah.
Take you out. Well, congratulations, boys, on yet another team's championship. We better let you say who you need to thank.
You do it, Brad.
I don't. Just all the Locked On people and the Banner Alliance team for letting us run their livery, and the 1,000 sponsors that are on their paint that I don't know, but
I can fill in the gaps. I was just going to see how much you knew.
Yeah, there's Ryko, Burson's Auto Parts, something to do with the kitchen, and Let's Go.
Something.
Frosty's
Frosty's Kitchen food truck. Yep.
That's the one. And I think Let's Go Heat. I think that's the other one.
Oh, you are dead to me. Get out. Back to you, Haynes.
All right, okay. Our team's champions there, and they are relatively jolly after their trip around the mountain. But we've got to get to the Formula Ford Ozicar inaugural champion. Congratulations, Stuart Vaughan.
Thanks, guys. It's been an absolute blast racing in this category, and some pretty tough competition. Obviously, John Merritt couldn't make tonight, unfortunately, but best thing about this is it's clean hard racing, not just hard racing.
You had your thinking cap on a little bit tonight, potentially. Just sort of trying to balance the risk a little bit.
As I said last week, I mean, as much as I wanted to win the championship, I hate losing a race too. So it's yeah, I had to be a little bit sensible, especially in the second race there. I just thought I might just pull into the pits early and get some clean air. But gee, what a finish to the first race, right?
Yeah, indeed. You were quite brave with that one, got to be said, and it really was a lightning in a bottle kind of little finish. How about Mount Panorama as a place to end a championship, though?
Yeah, I don't think I've gone that deep since Friday night, to be honest. That was a big send in that last one, but Mount Panorama is a good track for these cars. Obviously, very draft battle influenced, but that's part of the fun, I think.
Race 1, lap 1, McPhillamy Park. Any life flash before your eyes at all there, or did you have it under control?
Under control, mate, as usual.
We've got to take your word for it. You're from pedigree now as an Aussie car champion, and I'm sure you've got some people to thank.
Lots of friends have jumped on at random spots here and there, especially Ethan and Matt, and of course my dad Ian and David down in Adelaide sometimes watching. So it's awesome to have some family watching on the sim. Wish it was the real stuff, but it's best we can do at the moment.
Congratulations, and hopefully see you for season 2 in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, I'll be back, mate. Don't you worry. Thanks, boys.
Go. Stuart Vaughan's got some defending to do when season 2 kicks off later this month for Ozicar Formula Ford, and to tell us about it, Mr. Ozicar. Hello.
Hi. How you going? Sorry, I was just talking.
Yeah, so Ira Felberg joins us, and we've had the schedule for season 2. Say that the Formula Ford racing's been pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. You guys always make us look good, as I say. But yeah, it's a fun car and it's close. Like, it's kind of hard to get away, especially for the guys at the front. And yeah, they were all just saying there in the green room, I was just talking about how much they were looking forward to those tracks. They suit the car, and they're kind of European tracks, but in America in some ways. And then the oval, James was just saying that his favourite was the 150-minute race. So yeah, that should be a bit of fun. So looking forward to it.
What about your race tonight?
I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
16th and a 10th?
Oh man.
Maybe make that a 9th,
right.
potentially, actually?
I was doing alright in the first race, and then just leaked it. It's pretty easy to do coming across the top, especially when you haven't practiced. And I was up to about 11th. I think one more car might have passed me. And then after I went off, I was driving down the straight thinking, I hope Dave doesn't ask me about this later. So yeah, no, I was pretty, I was thinking about it actually in that race. Next season I really want to focus on doing some practice, go back to that. And also, like, I wasted a lot of, just, you know, like, I'm not up the front, but I wasted a lot of top 10s just by doing stupid little spins, and I think I'll end up in the points somewhere close to that. But yeah, it was kind of a bit frustrating, to be honest, but that's Bathurst. A lot of other people went off too, so.
You got a Aussie car script or spiel prepared? We've already been trying to deliver the sales pitch.
Well, just the
You just
usual.
tell the people where they got to go.
Yeah, so aussiecar.net, or the best way is just Aussiecar on Facebook. And the new entries for next season. So next season starts in 2 weeks. Entries will actually open this Friday. And yeah, just want to say thanks to you guys for the awesome commentary, and Jay on the production every week. As I said, we really do appreciate it. It just wouldn't be the same league like without it. And just want to thank Nathan as well for doing the points. He does that, takes a lot of work, and he does all that every week. And everyone else who's involved. And just last but not leastly, if anyone's looking for a Kelpie, I've got 9 for sale.
Okay, there we go. I didn't see that one coming. Thanks, Ira.
No worries, thanks guys, appreciate it.
Let's look again at the Season 2 Championship schedule. Races every second week. And yeah, those are still Mondays. So WeatherTech
I
Raceway,
did put the
Lagoon
right
Steakhouse,
dates in it. I double checked the calendar.
Barber Motorsport Park, Willow Springs Raceway, Watkins Glen International, USA Speedway, and Lime Rock Park to really just fill out your Monday nights of iRacing Season 3 of 2023.
And if you
That's
go to
all.
Bathurst, that's where you need to go in the background.
Yes, we found the Bathurst City Red Top Soccer Club. They've got a little canteen, race weekends, etc. They're up there dishing out all sorts of goodness to the people on top of the mountain. And boy, do they sometimes need it. That's been Ozicar Formula Ford, Sim Racing Leagues, Locked On Lads, and Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and in support of the No Social Hate campaign. Congratulations to our champion, Stuart Vaughan. He'll be back for Season 2, and you'll catch that here on Simspeed TV as well.